Hello everyone, and thank you for checking out the Annotated Bibliography lecture. Today we're going to be talking about the next assignment where we're going to be spending some of our time, and that is the Annotated Bibliography. And in this lecture I'm going to go over expectations for what the Annotated Bibliography should look like, and also the components that go into developing it for our class. So first, let's answer the question, what is an annotated bibliography? I think that the answer to this question can come in many forms, but for our purposes, this is really a tool for you during the research process. We talked a little bit about the writing process earlier in the semester, and I talked about how we're going to be writing a research paper, but how everything we do before then is going to culminate in that. And so what we're really doing is we're using the writing process over the entire semester for one project. And the annotated bibliography is a way of gathering data, organizing data, analyzing data, and beginning to think about how you would use it in your paper, so that when you sit down to write your research paper, you're spending less time researching, less time analyzing, and you already have an idea of what you're going to put into your research paper and how all your sources fit together. So an annotated bibliography is conducting research ahead of time of your paper that you're going to be writing, and listing all of the source information and discussing them in some short paragraphs, and then talking about how they all work together. So there are some components of the annotated bibliography that will need to be included in your in your paper, and so the first will be a full source citation. So this is a little bit different than, say, a typical paper. You're not going to need to have a works cited page that cites the source you're putting in there, because you're going to list that first with each source. So the full source citation that you would normally save for your works cited page is going to go before you discuss your source. And then that is going to be followed up by two paragraphs. So the first paragraph is going to discuss your source, and it's going to establish credibility and relevancy of the source. So you're going to tell me who they are, what they've been studying, and why it's important. And then the second paragraph will discuss how you plan to use the material in your essay. Now, obviously, we really haven't gotten to writing the essay yet, so I'm not expecting you to know exactly how. In fact, you might find that when the time comes, you don't even use the source in the way that you said you would in this paper, or perhaps you don't even use the source at all, because while this is, trying to help you find sources, you will likely find other sources as you start to write your research essay. So I'm not holding you to anything you say in this paper. So if I see you use a source differently than you said you would in your annotated bibliography, I'm not going to oh gosh, he didn't do what he said he was going to do, or she didn't do what she said she was going to do. They don't know how to write a good paper. I'm not like that. So this is just to get your mind thinking about how you can use it in your paper and how it ties in with other sources. So perhaps a good way to illustrate this would be with this slide here. So what you need to realize is that we are creating repetition and a pattern with each source. So your first source is going to have the full source citation, followed up by the first paragraph, followed up by the second paragraph. And then your second source, full source citation, first paragraph, second paragraph. And then this pattern is going to repeat with all of the sources and you're going to put them in alphabetical order as if it were the Works Cited page, because that's how you would list citations in your Works Cited pages, in alphabetical order. So how is this going to be formatted? Well, we've been working with MLA format in this class, so it needs to have all of the normal MLA formatting features, and so that's going to include your header in the top right, your class info on the top left, and then a title that is centered. This title is just simply Annotated Bibliography. You don't have to come up with anything creative. The paper's margins need to be 1 inch. Sentences need to be double spaced. The font is Times New Roman size 12. And I would appreciate a very short introduction that discusses what topic is going to be researched. And here's an example that I developed for students a few years ago. As you can see, we have our full MLA format, our header in the top right, our class information in the left, and then we have our title right there centered. And then our first paragraph that is double spaced, remember that it's indented. And then we begin with our first source citation right here. So one thing I would like you to note is that the second line is indented, so it moves in. Anything after the first line of a citation is indented, and then the first paragraph begins here, indented. And so then we're going to follow through with the pattern of what an annotated bibliography looks like. So we have our first paragraph. This is our intro paragraph. And I want you to notice how short it is. Let me see if I can blow this up a little. Okay, so what you can see here is a very short introductory paragraph with 3 sentences. The first one ends here, the second one here, and then of course this is the third one here. So I just need the briefest of explanations about what your research is focusing on. That's just to help remind me and orient me as I go through and I read your annotated bibliography. So this doesn't need to be a half-page introduction. We're not looking for that here. Just a few sentences that tells me where you're headed with this particular essay. Okay, so on the next slide, you're going to see that I have the source citation for highlighted there, and then we have our first paragraph here, and then our second paragraph here. Everything's in MLA format. The paragraphs are indented, double spaced, and that kind of gives you an idea of how big these paragraphs need to be. Not super lengthy, but also not super short either. Okay, so when the last source is added to the document, you do not need a concluding paragraph. The bibliography is just going to simply end. So you don't need to worry about wrapping it all up nice and tidy with some sort of concluding paragraph. It's just going to end. And I said earlier, we're adding the source citation, the full source citation before each source, so there's also no works cited page. So all we're really looking for in this paper is you're going to have an introductory paragraph, and then you're going to bring in your source information. So you will have your source citation, your first paragraph, and your second paragraph. And then you're going to repeat for each source information until all the sources are documented. All right, and that's it. If you have any questions, please reach out to me. I know that this PowerPoint might have been a little more difficult to see because it was screenshots and it looks a little fuzzy when I'm presenting it on this screen, and it's not very easy for you to read yourself. So I posted that online as well, so you can go ahead and download those and take a look at it and get a better idea. But I just wanted to go over it with you so you have a clear idea moving into the Annotated Bibliography project, what's expected and what I want to see turned in. So email me if you have any questions. Otherwise, good luck, and we of course will have a chance to look at it before final submission. All right, thank you.